Hi, I'm Mariah Briel, and thank you for being here with me at the Crocker Art Museum for a close look at Estampas de la Raza, contemporary prints from the Romo collection and Royal Chicano Air Force. There are 70 prints in this exhibition, all screen prints and lithographs, and the 55 artists in the show are working to represent what it's like to be both Mexican and American in the United States. These bold, bright, and vibrant prints also reflect different themes, such as identity, tradition, culture, and memory, struggle, icons, and other voices, and the show is loosely grouped into those themes. Estampas de la Raza is coming to us from the Menez Art Museum in San Antonio, Texas. The show first toured under that name in 2012 as a complete collection from the donors Harriet and Ricardo Romo. The Romos started collecting prints in the 60s and 70s when they lived in Los Angeles during the Chicano movement, where they worked with artists directly and with community organizations and print collaboratives to get work that they felt was underseen and underutilized. The Romos then gifted their work to museums around the country, and the Menez began touring the show. Here in Sacramento, we've added a little selection of work from our collection that we think complements the exhibition overall. I thought I'd start our look here in a section of the exhibition where we look at iconic figures. Here's Frida on one side and another version of Frida Kahlo on the other side. These are two really wonderful representations of work in the show and show us that these prints are meant to be bright and colorful, as I'd already mentioned, but also really easy to read visually and understand. On this side, we have a work by Raul Caracoza called Young Frida that I think is really beautiful because she isn't in this pose and isn't using this gaze that we're used to that's really direct, like this work over here. The colors are bright, the lines are bright. It's just a really clear image of who she is at this particular point in her life. On this side, we have a work by Richard Duardo, who's a really special figure in this exhibition as well, because he's a founding member of a print workshop known as Modern Multiples. One of the other themes of the exhibition is print workshops. There are three main ones represented in this show: Self-Help Graphics and Art in East Los Angeles, Modern Multiples in Los Angeles, and Serie Project in Austin, Texas. Richard Duardo worked at Self-Help Graphics and decided he would make his own print workshop where he created spaces for community members, artists, and people learning about printmaking to come and work together and collaborate on prints. This work is really wonderful because it also shows his influence of other modern art figures like Andy Warhol. This looks like a Warhol because it's supposed to. We've got Frida in this typical celebrity layout that you would have seen with Marilyn Monroe or other iconic people, but this time using a figure in Mexican art. Here we have two works by the artist Carlos Francisco Jackson that represent distinct moments in time. They're also done in the bold graphic style of many works in this exhibition, but they are done to represent two photographs or distinct time periods in Chicano history. On this side, we have an image of Cesar Chavez and Robert F. Kennedy meeting at the end of Cesar Chavez's hunger strike in 1968. Cesar Chavez was the leader, along with Dolores Huerta, of the United Farm Workers, which was a labor union fighting for farm workers' rights up and down the California Central Valley. In this particular instance, he had been fighting for grape workers in particular, and he'd gone on a hunger strike and met with Kennedy during his presidential campaign. On this side, we have an image of braceros, or workers, leaving Mexico City on their way to the United States. Jackson is also an important figure when thinking about print workshops. He used to teach at the Chicano Studies Department at UC Davis and was a founding member of TANA, a print workshop and collaborative in Woodland that still exists today. This work by Luis Menez is a really wonderful complement to his large sculpture Progress 2 that we have on the third floor of the Crocker. This work, titled El Corazon Lowrider, represents a figure and his girlfriend driving in this big purple Buick. Behind them, there's the colors of the Mexican flag and skulls and hearts, all representing Mexican culture along with this very traditional lowrider space, this lowrider scene. I really like this image because it's got that bright, bold color and the curves that follow through in Menez's sculptural work. He made these large sculptures out of fiberglass and auto paint and creates these scenes that look very much like this particular print. This work by the artist Alma Lopez is a fun combination of different motifs that represent her Chicana identity. Here, the work is called Chuparosa, which means hummingbird in Spanish, and in the background, there's a figure of a hummingbird. The human figure is posed to mimic the wings of the hummingbird, and overlaid over her tank top and along the bottom of the work are images from Maya codices, blending ancient imagery and more contemporary imagery. This work by Esteban Villa is an example of the Crocker addition to the show. Esteban Villa was a founding member of the Royal Chicano Air Force, also known as the RCAF, and the Crocker was gifted a suite of their work done in 1987. This suite was done in response to, or in celebration of, the 15th anniversary of La Raza Galeria Posada, or the bookstore and gallery space where the RCAF would exhibit their work. Each artist in the suite, and there are 11 total, did an entirely different work representing this milestone. This work by Villa is a really beautifully layered image that discusses Ruben Salazar, who was the Los Angeles Times reporter who was murdered during the Chicano moratorium and Chicano movement strikes in the 1960s, along with bright colors and references to the RCAF, to Aztlan, the ancestral homeland in Mexico, and other figures from Sacramento history.